Welcome for our first episode of OnSign TV Talks. We have here today Oskar from ScreenPublishing in Norway. Thank you so much for coming, Oskar. I'm Bruno, your host, Ricardo, as well from OnSign TV, and we are keen to learn more about screen publishing and discussing more about sustainability applied for digital signage and retail, plus transportation. And well, it's supposed to be a conversation about a couple of folks that know a little bit more about digital signage and share some knowledge, right?
Or maybe Oscar can start by telling us a little bit about screen
Yeah, of
publishing.
course. Thank you for having me. And thank God this thing works. Anyway, we are Screen Publishing. We're a Norway based digital signage provider. And what we do is consulting customers in the whole of Norway with, well, Scandinavians, to be honest, with their digital signage needs. And for the Scandinavians, it's the digital platforms and yeah, digital way of living is even more important since we're so scattered around the Scandinavians. So yeah, that's just a small part of about us. What we love about signage is, the way we need to integrate with the different customers and all the different needs all the different customers has, because it's so big a difference besides if it's a waste container business or if it's a big retail or if it's foods. So being able to work with all the different customers and the different way they use the platform, and not always the way we intended it to, but they start using it their own ways. It's a great way to just be able to, yeah, have a different life beside customers. Yeah.
Awesome. And for how long have you guys been in the market?
I started the company in 2016. So we've been in for 8 years, I think, something like that. My math isn't as good as using cameras and stuff, I guess. But so we've been in 8 years, and the journey for us has been quite long and hard, I think. But that's for all of us, because 8 years ago when we started, putting up a screen and showing content was, if we were happy, a picture, and in a good day it was maybe a movie. So the journey from 2016 to until 2020, when we started using OnSign, was a really great change. And I remember when Bruno first contacted me, like saying, "Hey, we're a digital software platform from Brazil," and I was like, "Yeah, we couldn't get further apart from Australia, could we?" Uh, but it really turned out great, and yeah, here we are.
One good question, and I was thinking as you mentioned about that, is how much technology really changed, and I think hardware changed, software changed, and the customer, I think that the requirements change as well. How do
Yeah,
you see that?
you know, from the hardware perspective in 2016, if we were again lucky using a 350 nits home screen was a bright sign in our ways, and then when Samsung came with the 700 nits professional screens, I think a lot of things changed for us, especially because we saw the shift from the professional ways of signage, from the just home USB or HDMI and a computer, to something that's more of a platform. And the way the technology has changed for just these 8 years has been insane, because we didn't have any integration with any systems when we started from 2016 to 2020. And then just a weather widget was amazing in 2016. And today, when we have an integrated data feed with you guys that changes prices for over 200 shops and a couple of million products, in just one warehouse. It's insane how the platform has changed from just the 8 years we've been here. And I think that what will the future bring for us? Because screens and publishing is only growing, and we see that OnSign with us in this platform is amazingly huge. So yeah.
That, that's it. Of course, it's big. And by the way, we were laughing at the beginning because the things were not working. Is because we were struggling with the platform here, and you were saying a couple million things and data feeds work, and it's of course it's super cool. I mean, when technology works. And Oscar, one thing I was wondering about is, well, you guys work on different verticals, right? Retail, transportation. Maybe you can talk a little bit more about that and what do you see as a trend?
Yeah, of
What is
course.
growing?
As you said, we have customers from big retail groups to small hairdressers to renovation companies to normal transportation with both flights and bus and ships sailing. Um, so our customers is really broad, what they use uh, our platform for. And uh, I think the trends nowadays is more, how can I say it, because in especially the Scandinavians or the Nordics in general, people tend to get bored from looking at screens. So they're uh, how can I say it? It's it's been a long day. So their attention span for looking at screens and seeing how screens and um the software works on screen. We see that it's really a big change now from early days, because now the expansion broad for a guy looking at the screen is maximum 5 to 6 seconds if it's nothing relevant for them to look at. So what I'm trying to say is that for our customers nowadays, how to get their screen um, uh,
To make it
More
interesting
active
and
and
interactive.
exciting.
interesting, and giving the guy looking at the screen more data back that's useful. I think was the my
Hmm.
thoughts here.
Mhm.
So when a customer in the old days just showed what's our offers, what can we give you. Nowadays we see the shifts in how can we give something back. So as I said, in the old days, just
Right.
having the weather apps for showing content back to the customer, saying that
Mhm.
okay, it's going to be rain in 1 hour was a good thing. Nowadays we see the shifts from more the useful stuff in the grocery stores, saying like, okay, so this is sustainability. It's not made from the rainforest in Brazil. It's actually made from trees that are grown natural in habitats that's useful. It to be cut down for IKEA, you can say,
Mhm.
or for clothing that's not Chable made in Asia, or any sustainability to give the customer feedback that these products are actually good for the environment and good for the hosting of whatever they sell is much more appreciated for the customer himself, because the product and the pricing they already know because of all the Google AdWords and all the Google feeds we have today. The information we already know, so we know what a pair of sneaker costs. But if they're made from
Hmm.
sustainability products, if it's actually good for nature, what we see in Norway and the Nordics is that it's more and more important to see, uh, that the product that they actually buy not only is cheap, but it's good for the environment as well. Um,
Yeah, I think this is a very good point because by the end of the day, everything that comes to our brains and the screens, the content that we push, it's a way that influence our behavior. And I think that we usually, we as a as a humanity of business, think about, yeah, buy more, sell more. But I think pushing this to a way, yeah, it's good to sell more, but sell it in a better way, and make good, be good, behave well, and it's good for everybody. I think that's a very good point. And I also think that people appreciate that. So it, by the end of the day, translates as well to more
yeah,
business. One thing that I have seen in some stores, and I thought it was super cool, is like they have this solar panels, and they show on screen how much energy was saved or how many trees were saved, and you as a customer appreciate because you're there. You're not, you're. It's a good thing for
yeah.
everyone.
So
Mm.
that's the shift that we see in what customers want to display, instead of just showing a number on the screen. Giving them actually feel good vibes for themselves. I'm actually helping the environment if I buy apples from, yeah, my local stores, is more appreciated than necessarily the 5% discount. And especially how we see the world today with all the changes that is out there. I think for us as digital signage providers, giving the customers the platform to show different ways to encourage the customer to buy is much more important than just showing the easy sales task, if you see that.
Mhm. Another topic I thought about, talking about is QSR. You guys have today one of the largest pizza places in Norway,
Yeah,
correct? What's the
it's
name?
quite
I
easy.
don't
It's
remember.
pizza bakeren as the pizza baker. um,
And so you promised me next time you're gonna get me some pizza when I go there. I hope we do something else as well. But how do you see, or because QSR is another environment? I mean, it's again screens. What kind of special thing, or what a kind of what the expectation? How do you see the QSR and the screens there?
um, First of all, I'm not sure what QSN stand for, quick service restaurant.
Quick service restaurant. I'm sorry. I'm so used to the QSR's quick service restaurant. So
Yeah.
McDonald's and all this.
Sorry about that. I don't use
We
that term, so I'm feeling old school here.
no, no.
No, but quick service customer, for this pizza place, it's only for, yeah, buying pizza for home. So as you say, it's how to get the customer to get in, get their pizza, and then leave. And what we're done with this pizza place is they have both way pizza. Um, the word for it.
Yeah, one question is: do they see, or do you see, or do you think it's possible to promote like an upsell, a change in behavior, or faster lines, or people, or people's satisfaction when you design such a menu board for restaurants, for quick service restaurants in particular? How do you deal with that? Because I even colors matter for
Yeah.
consumption, right?
For this customer, the most important thing about digital screens for them is, they only in one pizza shop. It's only two or three people working in there, so they all do baking of the pizzas. And if you need to serve a customer, take off their gloves, wash their hands, and then serve someone the pizza, it will take three times the time. Not because just handing over the pizza is the easy part, but you need to re-clean, you need to put on new gloves, etc. So for the customer there, it's the important thing was to get screens that shows what's your pickup number, and you get a SMS saying this is your code for the cabinet where the pizzas are stored. So you can put in that, and you will get your pizza out without needing to help from a guy behind the counter. Of course, you can ask someone; other will do it for you if you're an older guy. But for them, saving, say 3 or 4 hours a day serving pizzas to a customer, that's normally you do it yourself. And for the customer as well, if you're having a bad day or your children are crying in the car, you don't want to wait for someone to hand you your pizza. So you can go in, push the numbers, the code, and you will just get your pizza. So for them, seeing the shift of both time and time consuming for the guys in the store, but also for the customers, because they don't want the hassle about waiting with 700 people to get their pizza. So in both ways, it's much more efficient, and you get the option to: do I just want to get the pizza, or do I want to ask someone for questions? So for this big pizza chain, when they started rolling out for 250 different outsales, their their big point was, first, as we did in when we started, is just having a digital menu board, so they can change the menu from time to time, and not just sending out the
Mhm.
menus to all the different pizza places and they needed to change it, but then seeing, okay, how can we actually change this to being something much more easier for us. So when we started rolling out this for the pizza company, it started out with just being the normal digital menu boards, then changing it from that to a digital data platform from OnSign TV, saying that, okay, if anchovies rise with 10%, the price will automatically change as well. So you didn't need to go in and push and make new details for the pizza place. So what we started with the pizza place just a year ago to where we are today is quite different. But thank God it's with the OnSign, it's so much easier to just, yeah, do changes automatically, and you guys don't
This
even
is
know
this
it.
is
I
cool.
think I haven't told you.
I was just going to say that because a lot of people ask, well, how the platform is used, and by the end of the day, so much happens without us really putting our hands on the everyday thing, and it's cool because we design something and then we see you guys using for another thing, and we say, oh, these people are crazy, they're doing it all different than we thought, but it works. So it's cool. It's really nice. uh, Talking about working, another thing that I thought about talking is about hardware. I mean, we talked very briefly, you mentioned Samsung. Today you guys have a very good partnership with Philips, right? I mean, Philips, you have a lot of Philips
Yeah, so we're the
SoC
biggest
screens.
reseller of Philips in the Nordics at the moment. So we actually we rounded 1,000 new screens this year with Philips. And after being partnered with Samsung for a lot of years, and we're really happy with them, and of course there's an amazing good brand, but we saw that all the different hardwares and updates Samsung had from 2021 to 2023 because of the pandemic, they changed um, the screen types 16 times for a 155-inch. Maybe it's less, but for us it felt like this. And for a for a guy or for a company in Norway designing software for solutions, needing to update the screens every month or every week because they changed software was a really hassle for us. So when we saw that we could use one platform with Philips in Android platform with either Android 8, 9, 10, 11, and then sticking with it and not needing to update the platform, yeah, every month, it saved us for humongous of time and space. And since the Android boxes we use is also platformed in Android, just sticking to one platform instead of LG OS, Tizen, yeah, and all the different variants, and then just going over to Android, it helped us so much focusing on the customer instead of the software development. And when we have a partner like OnSign,
Hmm.
what you want is just one signage to use. It works. We have the platform, and it's finished. We don't need to update it and having crazy runtime downtown with another brand than Philips. So for us, just the software base, we went from having maybe 70% uptime to now on OnSign and Philips, I think if we are on 99, maybe 98% uptime, is a huge less hassle for us. And our support team only need to handle, say, one question a day. And if we take it back to 2022, 2021, when Samsung was doing the changes because of the pandemic, we had, a whole day for one customer relation. So he did 50 to 80 calls a day because something fell down, it didn't work. Yeah. And for being a small company, that that can't happen. Yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bruno. Maybe you have some question. I asked a lot, so
No, I think that's very interesting. A very key thing about running a network in digital signage is unifying it as much as you can, right? So that's a great thing that you did out there, and that for sure is saving you a lot of time and operation on solving a specific issue on a different kind of model, and running from one side to another and having an issue with a specific operating system, a specific kind of hardware that you have that is different from the other ones, and so on and so forth. So, in a way that you unify everything, you can have better control of your network, and that's a very interesting thing you guys did out there. And you were also, well, another thing that we wanted to talk about was transportation, digital signage in transportation. And I don't know how you'd like to talk about that. Oscar, would you like to mention a specific project you've
Yeah,
been working
so
on?
it's the same as we take thoughts from the pizza place. Changing gloves and being more efficient in the workplace. It's one of the easy ways to use screens is in the information bit, and it can be transformed quite easy. So with transportation, it was the same problem as with the pizza place. Taking off their gloves, washing up, takes a lot of time, and the same with transportation. If a handicapped person that has problem with their legs or elderly person have problem with getting into the bus, if the bus driver didn't know that it was a handicapped person on the platform, he wouldn't go out to help him. And from he knowing it to coming up and help him, it could take several minutes. So what we did is, how can we actually make digital signage with buttons saying that, hey, I need help at getting on the bus. We need a platform for my wheelchair or whatever, and making a easy button exchange for the bus stops or the platform saying, okay, I need help. How can we get this? And the bus driver will get a note saying that, hey, it's someone here that needs help. So from him getting out of the bus and helping the elderly person getting on the bus and go past it, actually saved them for approximately 6 minutes for each stop. And we added that with the over 500 stops and the buses that goes through, they saved it for almost $150,000 a year in savings because the standstills for the bus and the needing to wait, and then if every bus or every second bus needed to stop for 5 minutes, within a day, that's a whole bus route that get lost. So they need a separate bus to get in to help them, and that's one whole wager, a whole another bus, and the summary of the amount of money getting lost for just a button was insanely huge. So using the digital signage platforms for informing not only the customer but also the bus driver to notify that something happens. It's a both way communication setting. So how to use it, how can we use it, and that's a uh, yeah, that's one way that we actually used uh, your platform to yeah, do it a lot better than it was.
Uh, what I like, Oscar, on this kind of project, on this type, is that, well, in many situations, people see the screens as a cost. But if you use it smart, use it as a saving, as a money saving tool, or a money making tool. Well, this is usually, of course, the advertising case, which we're not talking about right now. But making it more efficient. In the case of pizza, you make money. I mean, it's and this is another thing that we can talk about is, of course, this project needs to be sold. But at the moment that you show people that you're making it more efficient, cheaper, better, faster, it's a no-brainer. Even if it's just comparing to distributing paper for stores on the restaurants, it's today a lot cheaper to send it digitally, and you change, and it's dynamic, and it's per store.
Yeah, and
So
especially in
I
Norway,
was just
if you think that it's like Chile, we are a really long country, so sending a print from
Mhm.
our capital to the other side of the our country would be like a 3 hour flight. So it's 2 days with a truck. So if you think that sustainability of sending a menu from our capital to one of the pizza places, it would cost, yeah, $5, and it will use immensely huge of gasoline and stuff for transporting it. So if you think sustainability as well, just that, in the sense of bring common sense, doing it digitally instead, is a huge save for the environment as well, because changing it over the internet takes a blink. Uh, but so one thing is, of course, to save of cost, but also save of sustainability in for the earth.
yeah.
It's much better. And a screen now, as we just sorted about, a Philips screen, we say that it's at least 10 years usage should be more than good enough. Yeah, of course, we want to change or do it better, but yeah.
One question, I don't know if you saw about that. This is, we haven't talked about this, but then we mentioned Philips and we mentioned sustainability. I know Philips has an e-ink screen that they're coming up. Have you
Yeah, I
tested
have.
that yet?
And the usage and everything is really, really cool. And e-ink is certainly something that will be more used in the future. Just at the moment, for our customers, it's quite expensive because it's the same cost as a normal 55-inch for a 32-inch. But what we see is that, no power usage, easy to change, easy to use, and especially with OnSign, having the composition wise, we can change it one every 2 weeks for a menu board, and it doesn't need to charge for half a year. So the e-ink wise, it's a no-brainer, but
Hold on.
yeah, the cost for it need to go down a bit before Philips can actually start selling it in big quantities. But yeah, again, sustainability, it's going to be amazing.
I haven't seen the price. Do you know the ballpark
I
prices
think
for these
that's out of
screens?
my
Just
my ballpark to say, but
okay. No,
uh,
no worries. I was just because one thing that I mean, let me. I mean, what we see in from our experience, we have a lot of public transportation projects, uh, and some large, like in US, in San Francisco, in Alabama. There are many different projects. And one interesting thing I learned a long time about the ink. Of course, it's more expensive, but one of the key things is, let's say you need to add a screen into a bus stop. So you need to call. I mean, the city will need to go there and eventually do wiring, and then the city needs to call the people for the wiring. Then the city needs to break the sidewalks, and then by the end of the day, you touch and you have so many different workers that the cost of the screen is the least thing that you're going to be worried about, because all this infrastructure is so expensive. So even if once you use the ink, you don't need wires, you cut all these things, and so even being more expensive as a screen in this situation, I'm not saying that it's for everything, by not requiring the infrastructure, it becomes cheaper than the infrastructure. Just mentioning because on public transportation this was the case for some specific projects, and I think it's gonna, as every technology, the price is gonna come down.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, again, sustainability, digging up the sidewalks for the 15th time this year, of course, it isn't good for anyone. And if we change a bit from e-paper, because that's the way to come, and it's the same with AI in the environments. Everyone is saying like, okay, it's expensive and it doesn't work, or it's going to be the future. And what we see is that often is that the technology or the e-paper, it's more it's us that needs to change, because the e-paper and not using as much energy as we could, or not putting up all the screens that use too much either work labor or power. In the end, using less of everything will always be better. And also the production of making e-paper compared to making a big screen TV, if you think of metals and cabling and stuff, the environmental use of the e-ink will be so much better, because the components in e-paper is almost nothing compared to a whole TV. So it's within the future, of course, and I think that within the next, well, as we talked about, from 8 years that's been to the next 8 years, I think we will see a new revolution in how digital signage are going to be used and how the hardware will be.
E- 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 Even color ink, even color papers are coming up, so I think it brings more usage there. Let me change gears. What was the most challenging project that you have done? Thing they said, oh
Oh
man, that was
man,
crazy.
uh, that's always a good question, because it really.
If I would ask for the easy one, you would not know about it, but the
No,
hard
no,
one you should
I
at
think that
least.
they're all hard. That's what I was trying to think about, because some of them are extremely fast. We need to change everything within the next 3 weeks, and some of the hardest parts, and the other way around, is integration. So for us, one of the two biggest integration systems we have is for um, selling homes. So they asked it for, okay, how can we showcase our properties for sale? And we were like, oh, easy, this is how we could do it. And we started the project, and of course we came to it, and we were like, okay, so here's the project, here's the pictures of the floor planning, and this is how you can sell it. And I'm like, okay, great, but we need pictures of everyone in this office who sells different properties. And we're like, okay. So we tried to, implement the pictures with the home sales, with the apartments and everything. And then I said, okay, great, but now we need to have the different screens in the city, but different properties to different screens, because this property wouldn't be close enough to this screen, so it wouldn't be relevant. So we needed to change again, and said, okay, this is how you can get one developer, one showcase for this area, with this sales guy, with this guy. And they were like, every time we came up with a solution and fixed it with OnSign, they said, okay, we need to do this as well. And I think we have had them for a customer now for uh, 4 or 5 years, and we're still not done developing the showcase for the housing sales.
I hope they don't hear this, so they don't come
They
up with a
always
new
do.
idea to change
They
something
always
again.
do. But again,
But one cool thing.
no, no, no. But
Sorry, go on.
one of the strange things in digital signage, and for us as license providers for customers, many of them say like, okay, but why doesn't you guys have a subscription that is fixed for 3 years or 5 years that we need to sign to get it to work? And we say, if our licenses is based on a 3 or 5 year period, we can sell you a 5 year period and then just go to sleep and don't do anything with your software. And this is back to the customer that always need to progress. So again, if we don't progress as a software developer and a signage provider, uh, that we will lose customers. And for us, and doing it with you guys, always being at the forefront of technology instead of waiting for the customers to come with feedback and needing stuff. I think that is one of the most important thing about being a digital signage provider in 2024, to be honest.
I was gonna mention something along the lines of that, and I, of course, we have so many different networks, but I think the ones that really take the most, like you guys do, is you have a technical team. You go the extra mile. You customize. You implement your own apps. You do your own integration. And I, especially when we start to talk, with new partners, we say, I used to say, hey, no hostage here. I mean, you guys are free to develop on top and add features, either apps or HTML. And I think it's not just about hanging screens. It's about providing all this value added, because hanging screens anyone can do it. So and I know, because from time to time our support gets the questions from your technical team, and there are a lot, but that means you guys are of course using
Yeah,
it.
and often, when we come with you guys as our platform developer, and we say that, okay, guys, we are doing this, and often, yeah, especially since you guys have a big resource here in Europe, and she's amazing. We often get the question like, not direct, why are you actually doing this, but it's often like a good question like, but what is this for a question, because this is nothing that we actually have or we implemented. And we're like, no, but if you're using this way, it works with your own system. And often Ricardo or Dimitri or Bruno, you guys say like, well, that actually works. And for us, being able to just have a free flow of a platform that we can build on and do whatever we want with is one of the key features for being a Nordic provider. It's the whole process of being a software developer together. Um, Brazil, Norway, yeah, we, yeah, we're a pretty good team, I must say.
No, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's the goal, right? Like providing you the tool set that you need to implement any kind of project and offering you the possibility to also develop on top and expand, right? And doing even things that we didn't know that could be possible, right? That's the coolest part about working together with integrators like you guys. That's very interesting.
I don't know, Oscar. Any we don't want to make this too long. Any closing thoughts? Anything that you would like to share or say, or is it time for the truth? You can talk bad things about Bruno, not about me.
Well, if I'm going to dive, I'm not going to ask you, at least, since you're a self diver. But no, I think that, for any podcast or for any information wise, if people are listening and if this actually is giving them some inputs, if how can they actually use signage, I think the main goal for any service provider, if even if it's digital signage or anything else, how can it be used easy? And using OnSign and our platform integrated is one of the easiest way to, yeah, show content easy and fast and without faults. And as we have talked about through this interview or this podcast, it's efficiency, and it doesn't matter if it's a pizza guy that needs to wash their hands, or if it's a bus driver needed to get out of the bus to help someone. It's also the thing with the marketing guys. If things hard, if they need to find files on the computer, if they need to edit it, if they need to do all the different things every day for the platform because it's not in the platform or the integration doesn't work, the time used for the whole project will take so much longer. So just finding the perfect provider is the key feature for us. So for us, having a good backup, have someone to having easy thoughts about, coming with new ideas, and people that actually listens is, yeah, it doesn't matter if it costs this or this. If we're just sitting in each our trends, doing our different things, and not talking to each other, the world won't be a better place, or the on-sign platform won't be better, or edit or change. So I think that for me, and the closing part is, it doesn't matter if you use the biggest platform in the world. If it doesn't work, and if it's the most expensive thing, it doesn't work, find someone else. And for us, OnSign is, the platform provider to use, together with Philips, of course. And yeah, you guys, of course.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, by the end of the day, is always something that becomes personal. So it's really nice. And thank you for, I mean, we met several times, so this is really cool.
Yeah.
We're really happy as well. And one thing you forgot to say, maybe, and let me make you your advertising. If someone needs to partner or need to do a project in your region, I'm sure you guys are open for that. And actually, you're
Yeah,
expanding,
so
right?
we have already doubled uh, our revenue from last year to this year, and we have really the big LED walls and stuff, and the integration is just doubled and tripled, and we see that people want more and more personal stories and more personal usage of digital signage. So if you want to just common hang on the wall signage, of course you can use someone else. But if you're gonna, in the end of the day, have a provider that actually cares and will help you and integrate, use us, we're great. um, and
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't matter for us if it's in Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Iceland. We will have everyone. We have on boots people everywhere, and yeah, we can deliver to anyone anytime.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Oscar, thank you. Bruno, it's with you.
Oscar, thank you so much for joining us today and for having this amazing conversation. It's been very insightful, and it's always great for us to hear from customers and learn about their stories. Also, thank you so much for being part of this history, this journey with OnSign TV throughout these years. It's been an amazing journey for sure. And yeah, thank you for being for being part of this first version of OnSign TV Talks. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much. And I'm so sorry because you need to edit this so bad and so long that it will take so long time. So sorry about that. But I think in
No,
the end, this will be productive for everyone. So I hope it's been good for everyone.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for watching. I was out there. Ricardo, you want to say something?
no, that's it. So see you at the next one.
Yeah,
Thank
at the
you,
next one.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.